Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special edition of the Hash It Out Show. I am your host, JB, your sports guy. I'm joined by my good friends. First, one of the guys you can catch on CrescentCitySports.com. He's out in Baton Rouge, getting ready to call some baseball games come tomorrow. The one, the only, VK Jones. VK, what's going on, man?
Good evening, gentlemen. What's going on with y'all? We glad everybody joined us on our special edition tonight. We usually be on once a week, sometimes twice a week, but we're glad to have you. Like, share, tag, and subscribe. The Hash It Out Show on JB Your Sports Guy on YouTube, and also Jared JB Board on Facebook. Vashawn K. Jones on YouTube, and also Vashawn K. Jones on Facebook. Catch it Facebook Live and YouTube Live each and every week. We got an interesting discussion going to be going on tonight, but it's good to be here this weekend.
Other person joining us also, you can catch him on CrescentCitySports.com. My good friend George Peppers. What's up, George Peppers?
What's up, Jared? I'm doing fine, sir. Looking forward to what we're going to talk about tonight. Some big headlines in the national media today, though. Surprise firing, but obviously the show is going to be front and center about what we talked about last night, and we're going to get into it tonight, and I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely. So tonight we are talking about episode 4 of Algiers America. Pretty much this show is showing cars run to the semifinals. But there are other important aspects in this show that we're going to start off with. And then we'll definitely get to the semifinals game that shows them playing Westgate, but they don't show who won the game yet. That'll be next week. But I know I was in attendance for that game. VK was. I don't know if George was, but we're getting into that game in a little bit. But I want to start off with the first scene that we saw, and that is Ty G Hill talking about his offers with Coach Bryce Brown. And Bryce Brown's telling him straight up, you know, they're ready for you. Coach will take you now. Nah, they still trying to see what you're about. I'll let you go first, VK, then George, and I'll go after that. So let's talk about that first, VK.
It was very interesting from the beginning in itself that and it was it's kind of a cool thing that it shows that certain coaches is looking out for their players, especially their seniors, trying to make sure where they want to go to school, but not just that. They're not making them because they know at the end of the day it's their choice, but also they're just, the coaches are giving them information. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like an extended guidance counselor. So that's a real good thing that they was doing. It's interesting that, and it's good for coaches to do that, to go over options with their players, especially for the schools that they're nailed down to. But also they'll take a look at certain players that are under-recruited, and all of a sudden somebody's calling somebody this, that, and the third. They're offering you this, that, and the third, and whatever. So, I think this shows that Coach Bryce and his staff, especially Norman Randall, who been very intricate a lot in their recruiting, getting their players in college as well. So, it just shows that the coaching staff really cared and everything. But it was interesting, because Taji off from the jump, he was gonna go to LSU. I think even after the changes, he stood his ground and stood his commitment, But it was interesting to see that the coaches, it just showed that some coaches do care for their players and sometimes some don't.
George Peppers, your thoughts.
Well, I mean, of the three of us, I'm the one that has not seen this documentary as of yet. Again, I just got home from work a little while ago, so I haven't had really a chance to see. But I know everything about this whole documentary, and we obviously covering ednakarr as much as we do, being that they are such a prominent program. In reference to Ty J, he's the man that got hurt in the aforementioned Westgate game, correct?
No,
No,
That's not him.
that was Jarwin Newman.
Darwin, okay. All right, I stand corrected. But that being said, look, piggybacking off what VK said, because he stole my thunder in that respect about Bryce Brown and what kind of a person he is when it comes to his players. Quite frankly, there are coaches that could give a rat's tail about players in the area. I'm not naming names. VK, you and I, we are intricate into the prep scene, we both know, and I'm not going to go to the areas and whatnot, but we both know there are coaches that could cast players to the side and not give a flip about what they do going forward. But Bryce cares about his players' education and their future and where they go to school. Now, the interesting case in that is Avery Anderson, the sensational running back that he had that committed to Alabama, decommitted from them, committed to LSU, and I think now he has decommitted from LSU, if I'm not mistaken.
Aaron Anderson?
Um,
No, he's there.
not yet. I thought I saw a story where it said he decommitted from LSU. I'm gonna have to fact check that one. That being said, but
Oh,
Bryce,
I think I know you're talking about. You're talking about
before he committed to Alabama, okay,
before
all
he came
right,
to
the
Alabama.
timeline,
That's
Yeah,
what
when he
you're
was still
gotcha,
in
talking about.
school.
Yes, yes.
gotcha,
Yeah, we
yeah,
get
because
to
he
that
was
next
still
that part next. Yes.
right. He was considering LSU, but anyway, back to this. I mean, what you're seeing in this thing, and I'm looking forward to watching it, is seeing what kind of a man Bryce Brown is. It's not the coach, it's the man, it's the father figure. That's what you're seeing, and that's what America's going to learn about Bryce Brown as they watch this documentary and get knee deep into it.
I'll say this. I thought it was very compelling that they actually showed Bryce Young with Taji Hill telling him
Bryce
Alabama
Brown.
still wants to see
Bryce
what you're made
Brown.
of. Hmm?
You
You
said
said
Bryce
Bryce
Brown.
Young. It's Bryce
Bryce
Brown.
Bryce Brown. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Roll Tide.
Oh no.
Bryce Brown.
Shame.
I thought it was very compelling to him for him to be honest with Taji in regards to Taji asking him, where to go, what should I do? Him saying that Bama still wants to see what you can do, still wants to come to a camp. And Taji was like, I showed them everything. I'm a senior. Why I gotta go to another camp? I've done everything. And then for him to also say that Coach O and them are ready for you now. You know, giving him that advice because he's talking to the coaches and he knows what they want to see. So I commend Bryce for being upfront and telling Ty G the truth. But just very compelling that they actually showed this because this is what really happens. There are coaches out there who will talk to these players and tell them, I know you want to go to that school, but it might not be the right fit. They might just be holding a scholarship so you don't go to a rival school. Stuff like that. So I commend Bryce on that for being upfront and honest with Ty G on that situation. And I think it's the right way to go. I think Ty G mind was always set on LSU. He's from here. He's from the New Orleans area, state school. Most people from here would like to go play at LSU. It doesn't happen, but most people do. And to tell him inside scoop, I have to commend him on that. Um, Other than that, anything else you want to add to that, VK?
Well, it's sometimes it's really good to dig inside the mind of a recruit and the process and stuff, and it's good to really show that more than anything else. You know, and not too many shows that do that. Some shows that do that and stuff like that. But we're starting to like how these football documentaries are digging more deep into the process in itself and everything and why people change their minds and stuff like that. And it shows that certain players are not selfish. But at the same time, certain players they do have to look out for themselves because there's one point they don't have to be self, but there's a point that they have to. In Aaron Anderson's case, he had to be because sometimes the main cog is the coach or the recruiter that brought you there. And sometimes that's the key because that brings you to a school, and when that person or that assistant coach is gone or whatever, that's why the transfer report is what it is right now.
George, any last word?
I mean, there's a lot of things we've said already in reference to this whole thing, and I've pretty much extolled what I feel about Bryce Brown, the person, and the football coach. Look, last night I said what I had to say about him as a coach, and Jared, I saw you tag me into a response in reference to what I said about Bryce, the coach, and
I
situational
did.
stuff. I think it was you, one of y'all. It's in the chat. I don't know if it was.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's in the
Somebody
chat.
agreed with. somebody agree with you.
Yeah,
Yes.
and and I'm not deviating from that at all. Not
Yeah.
happening. So, but in reference to what I just said, I mean, there's really not a whole lot more to add. Now, the Avery Anderson case, I know we're going to get into that because I have some thoughts on that as well. But I think the one more thing I do want to say, and VK, the first game you and I went to together when we moved back here was the Carr Curtis game a couple of years ago in 2021, and
Hmm.
Carr was steps ahead of that team all night long. But the one thing I saw, and I've seen it before, but I hadn't seen it in years, ednakarr's players are a reflection of what Bryce Brown is. Have you? I don't know if you've seen any of their players go walking around beating their chest out, acting all biggity, and doing just thinking they're better than that they're better than everybody else. Their talents prove it, their actions prove it, but they don't go out there and they're a very humble group. They are a very humble group at Nakar. I don't see players going out there sticking their chest out talking about y'all can't touch us and all that stuff.
Nah, you don't see that a lot, but they'll get fired up at the right time and they'll strike. I still ain't forget the time when Jabbar Jaloop coached in the year I believe they got back to the state title game and they beat St. Aug and Leonard Fournette, and that was his sophomore year, and that was basically Cyril Crutchfield's first year. And they did one of the biggest no-nos you don't do. Like, you see what Westgate did. And Westgate went on, they're trying to fire him, everything. But the difference between what Westgate did and St. Aug did, Westgate bought the lumber. They bought the fight to the doorstep. That was the difference. St. Aug, they usually, and they did that with David Johnson before, they would usually do a walk on the whole field. But the time David Johnson did it, he did it way before anybody got onto the field. He did it way before anybody got to the field. So he took the whole team and they walked the whole 100 yards.
Hmm.
But for Coach Crutchfield, he decides to do it while Carr players is on the field and they try to push them off the field, which fired up Carr. And you seen what happened after that.
Why shouldn't have?
I
Right?
was like, Carr dominated after. The one thing we don't do at St. Aug, we bring the lumber, we let our actions do the talking. We don't talk shit. That's what we do. We bring the lumber. We don't talk. We don't fire other people up because that'll cost us.
But
And
see,
it cost St. Aug that year. And I still ain't forget that.
I gotta put this analogy in, Jared, because it's a recency analogy I'm gonna stick in. So are you saying that St. Aug poked the bear like Dylan Brooks against the Lakers? Is that what you're saying, sir?
Go ahead
I'm
and say
just
yeah.
asking.
Say yeah,
It's a
man. It's
fair
okay.
question.
Say yeah, man. It's okay.
Uh, I know it's okay. I know it's okay. I told you I changed my pick. And
No,
I and
no,
I
it's
and
no,
I
no, no,
and
no, no,
I,
no,
and
no.
I
I'm
no
not
no no no
saying
no.
that. I'm not
Yeah, he
saying that.
did. Yeah, he did. He did poke the bear, and quote
That's what I'm
unquote.
getting at. I'm focused on the question. That's what I'm getting you to focus singularly.
Right. And you're right. He poked the bear, and he shouldn't have
And what
did that.
happened? The bear poked back and smoked him, right?
Sometimes there are times you
Shut
don't
up and play.
shut up, play the game, and Dylan Brooks will not be coming back to the Grizzlies. So
Look,
goodbye, good riddance.
Go
look,
get him, Pelicans.
look. Before we move on to the next topic, let me just say this about poking bear. All right, there was this guy in the Jackson, Tennessee area. I'm not gonna say his name, but he did have the same last name as me. I'll leave it at that. All right, from Jackson, Tennessee. We're not
Oh
related.
no.
Okay, and I would go there. We'd be in the same ring, and I would win first place in sparring, and we never sparred. But for some reason, he and his daddy would talk trash about me, saying if they ever spar me, they gonna Jared boy gonna see who the real boy it is. This and that. Now I had number of respect for this dude, you know. Well, I went back to Tennessee, to Memphis, and I had it on my mind like I hope we spar. And man, did it happen. Did it happen? I was on 4-0 within 20 seconds. First one to five. I had the guy crying. I kicked the dude in the head. I looked at his daddy like, like what? Which I shouldn't do, which is disrespectful, but I did it, because it's on my mind. Y'all both talking about me, okay? I'm the world champion here, not you. Respect me. And he was crying after the match. He was crying. I had a dude crying. It's about respect. And when you're great in the sport, you don't disrespect greatness. And I'll leave it at that.
And you can't. You can't. When I was a player at St. O, I was a senior. We didn't have the best season. It was homecoming. We go against De La Salle, which De La Salle was okay that year. All of a sudden, De La Salle comes at us. They bring their whole team. We got the seniors coming out to do the coin toss. The whole team from De La Salle comes out. And I'm like, what in the world are they doing? They coming out pumping their chest like this. And we like, what in the world? I said, I know they ain't doing that to us. All right, we got this. Oh, you just knew it was a long day for De La Salle because first play of the offensive scrimmage for De La Salle, Brandon Butler throws a pick to I got it to Albert Poirier, pick 6, and it was a long day. When I got out there, I went against this defensive lineman in front of me, and I drove that mug 13 yards back. I drove him all the way back to the whistle blew. And after I pushed him off, I went like this. Right in his face. And I'm like, don't you ever disrespect us like this again. Go your ass home. Go back to you uptown. That was a behind whipping De La Salle would never forget. I'm like, sometimes you got to chill. And if you gonna do something like poking the bear, you better bring it. Don't bring it, you're gonna lay down.
All right. Now, right after that situation on the show, they showed Coach O was fired. And we know Aaron Anderson and Ty G had already committed. And I think it was a good showing because some people may not understand the relationships that come about when these recruits commit to a certain school. They most want to play for a certain coach. And as you can see, Aaron Anderson and Ty G Hill both want to play for Coach O. Coach O, to me, is a people's person. I think he'll talk to anybody. And you see he takes pictures with any and everybody. So, and I believe that they have formed a relationship. And once that happened, Ty G was thinking about what to do, but Aaron Anderson made it clear, I'm not going to LSU. Coach O gone, that's a wrap. And it's like that with a lot of recruits. I'm going to play for this coach. Just want to play for it. And they fire him. You see a lot of players decommit and reopen up their recruiting. So this wasn't a surprise to me, but to see it happen on this show, to me, is very outstanding because there's a lot of people that don't understand that. And Norman, what's Norman's last name, VK?
Norman Randall.
Norman Randall said it perfectly. He said it perfectly about building relationships. George, in your field of work, you see this all the time where people want to play for a certain coach and a coach gets fired and they decommit. What can you say about it?
I mean, it happens every day. It is a very common occurrence, and what this documentary will tell you will extol and talk about and teach that you get the intricacies, the inside of what happens in this process. People look at it from the surface, and it just is, people make presumptions and assertions based on conjecture. That's what they do. But this documentary opens eyes, and this documentary is going to win awards. Why? Because it is an eye opener. But you know what? 90% of the things that are going to be shown in this documentary are stuff that the three of us already knew. Why? because we cover these schools. Now, VK and I are a little bit more into it because we actually have been in the media circle for a good bit since 2006. So I'm going on 17 years. Um, but that with that said, um, people, do you? I mean, I'm going to subscribe to Hulu and get to watch this documentary. Again, it's the virtue of time. So I've got to be able to find time, and it's not really binge watching. It's four shows, right?
Five.
We've done 4 parts.
Yeah.
Okay,
Four
Five next
parts.
week.
okay.
5 is next week.
So number 5 will be next week, right? Wednesday.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
next Wednesday. And look,
Okay.
you got some leave this weekend a little bit. I know you're gonna be on the horses, but watch about a couple episodes. You don't have to go back to work
Yeah,
till
that's what
Wednesday.
I'm gonna do.
Yeah, okay. Good, good,
That's what I'm. Oh, don't worry. Trust me, dog. I got this plan.
good.
I've got it planned out. Yes, I know what I said last night about what I was going to do, um, and whatnot. And I'm not singular. I'm a plural person. I try to multitask, but and be able to. But once the festivities end tomorrow, I'm going to watch all 4 episodes, and it's pretty much not going to be a surprise to me. Why? Because again, we know what we're going to see. That are there moments in the show? Sure. You know, but I tell you what, I don't know when the nomination list comes up for the ESPYS or more likely the ESPYS. I'm not sure about Academy Awards
Or Emmys, or
because
they can definitely get nominated for Emmys.
you're thinking that Emmy could be for a short. What would that be? That'd be a
Documentary.
short series, a
Yeah, documentary
documentary.
series. Yeah, they can get nominated for an
That
Emmy. They could
and how
possibly
big?
maybe for an Oscar, possibly. It just depends.
I don't know about the Oscar. If
They
they get it
they
for a short film, maybe.
they but
But
but remember, it could get nominated because remember that OJ Made in America won an Academy Award.
well, yes, it did.
So
Hmm.
this could
If it
get
don't fit, you
nominated.
must have quit.
Right, right. This could get nominated too. You know what I'm saying? I think
And you know what?
right.
I have no problem with it.
Absolutely. And you're not the only one, George. You know what I'm saying? I had to scramble my you know what off, and it's kind of my fault we came on late because trying to get through the traffic, get everything straight in the hotel room and all that stuff. And I'm trying to hook my fire stick on a TV, which is tough as hell to damn hook up my fire stick. So I'm like, let me get on my laptop and watch this thing, which was better because actually everything was going through fluently. But it was about
Mhm.
6. It was right at 6 o'clock when I watched it, and the only thing about Hulu with the Hulu I have, it has commercials. That's the only thing. So it is what it is. But I got it done. But once you get the chance, you'll get the understanding, and you're getting the ideas tonight. Now what it is, but I ain't gonna lie. The fourth episode at the end did keep me in the cliffhanger a bit because I'm thinking, okay, we about to, and I just should have
What's your
known.
thought about the
I should have known.
decommitting?
Well, it's what you talking about. Aaron Anderson. Yeah,
Yes.
the reasons it was very sufficient reasons. You know what I'm saying? Ed Ogeron he is a people person. I done met Ogeron a bunch of times. Good dude. Really good dude. It's just too bad he got himself in the way. He got himself in the way and got his head beat. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? And
Yes.
it's amazing. And I was a coach. I'm a Coach O fan. And it was just the fact, okay, we understand the X's and O's screw ups. But what was really going on? When Bomani Jones laid out the whole expose of what's going on, my mouth dropped. And I'm like, oh my God. He really messed this up. And it's almost like, yeah, you got to go away. You got to seriously go away. But if I ever see him, I'll still shake his hand. He good people.
Oh, definitely.
But I just hope he get himself together because, man, that's a lot. And it's just something else. And it makes you think of people who go through marriage and divorce and stuff like that. There are
Yeah, but
ways. The biggest thing I'm gonna get to. I don't mean to take it off the subject, George, but at the
no.
same time, it's just a fact. The matter is, when that happened, especially with him before when that deal came up when he divorced his wife and everything, right? Right, Jared, remember that.
Sure.
So with all that, when you come into money and whatever, and you probably can you have enough that you can break your ex something, and then everything else you straight. It is just the fact he took it to a level and behavior, and it's almost like why you couldn't do things low key. And that's a lesson to anybody. You gotta do certain things certain ways. You just can't be out and like that. And then on top of that, you are a head coach of not just any program, but Louisiana State University in the capital of Louisiana. That's a big spotlight on you. So I'm like this. I'm not knocking what you do with certain women because you're a single man, but you can't put that stuff in the streets, not knowing what you are. You can't put that out, and it affected him not just off the field but on the field too. So with that, I just wish him the best. And I know Aaron Anderson. It just felt like right then and there, my guy is gone, and I think Coach O reminded him so the closest thing to what Bryce Brown is. So he felt like he was gone. He was like, man, I had to look into somewhere else.
Also on the show, they definitely emphasize with a certain park ball team from Algiers, and to help set goals for these kids so they could not be living a street life. And that's mainly across this whole New Orleans area with these park ball teams, without a doubt. And you have to give these guys who's taking time out to coach these youngsters so much credit, because they don't want to see them go down the wrong path. And we need more guys like that. And it's a reason why, you know, parents want kids to get involved in extracurricular activities. If it's football, baseball, soccer, basketball, taekwondo, jujitsu, hockey, whatever, you know, just to keep them from going on the streets and have them have a goal. And one of the football players, I can't remember his name. I want to say his name is Jaquez, but Jaquez has a goal already to get into high school and be the best wide receiver ever in car history. So, you know, for him to have that good of a head on his shoulders is wonderful. But with all those kids involved that are playing park ball, and they out there playing a game and they hear gunshots and they're just numb to it because it's just New Orleans. It happens. That's what those coaches are trying to keep them away from. George Peppers.
I agree. I mean, I concur with a lot of what you're saying. I mean, New Orleans is a high crime area, obviously, and it's really sad that players have become numb, and coaches too. I mean, let's call it for what it is. You know, in the back of your mind, you got these young kids, and they're out there getting involved in sports. We were kids once. We got involved with sports. I was a baseball kid. I came up baseball. I didn't play football. So, and VK, you played football. Jared, I don't know if what you played,
Football and
but
basketball.
He played football,
football and
basketball.
basketball. So you
He's
okay?
a all.
Cool.
He's just like me. All Metro JV baby.
Got you, man.
Yeah, I wish.
I hear you.
I
No,
wish.
I hear you.
no.
But
I just
you
joking.
know,
No. We was on the team and we contributed. That's
That's
all I
right.
gotta say. We
think about
contributed.
think think about this from this perspective, guys. We're all members of the media. We do cover prep sports, but when you go into a game at Gormley or at Pan American, in the back of your mind, are you thinking, "Damn, I hope nobody's stupid enough to pop a piece out here and start shooting"? I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know if I'm immune as other people are because I don't live. None of us live in the city, you know, but the immunity is not there for the three of us. But I guarantee you, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, I hope this nonsense, this foolishness doesn't happen. That
I
some
think
idiot shows up.
I would say this. I think it's a shame that we can name some schools where we think that can definitely happen, and we can name other
I know.
schools and we can say it's not going to happen.
Hmm.
It's
I agree.
smell like smell like smell like racism.
You already know.
Smell like it too. It just, you know, and looking at it, and to me, I think these coaches doing everything they can, everything else. But I'm gonna be real, and I'm gonna call this certain organization out, and I'm gonna call them out tonight. Nord, you're doing a damn disservice to them kids in New Orleans. You need to step up, do what you need to do. I don't give a damn who is the executive. I don't give a damn who it is. All these facilities need equipment. All these facilities need to get straight for a bunch of things. You're doing a disservice to the community in this city. So I'm telling you now, get off your asses and go do what you got to do and help this community and these kids. These parks need to be fixed. They don't even have parks for these baseball teams. You got Xavier and got their baseball program. They're Lucky Dead Barrel. Soon about to get started with their baseball program. So Dylan don't have a place to play. But then also for these other kids, these little kids is growing up, they working with very little resources. What in the world are you doing? Do we have people in there that are stepping up, putting the monies where their mouth is, or going get the monies or whatever to help these facilities and playgrounds come together and give the equipment that they need? I get sick and tired of that. I'm sick and tired. If JP, and here's the thing that make it look bad, JP ain't freaking helping, and they holding up the goddamn on funding because of people that's up in there.
And they closing
Blatant
down a
freaking
lot of parks in
racism in
JP, which is
Jefferson Parish.
sad. Which is sad. Close all these parks in JP. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Straight, you're right. Straight blatant racism in Jefferson Parish. I'm calling it out. Because straight up, I love my home. My home is Marrero. My second home is Algiers. My grandmother stayed 2 houses down from LB Landry High. That's my homes. I love my West Bank. I love everything. There's some people around here that forget where the hell they come from. If I ever get big, I'll never forget it. I say I'm from New Orleans, via Marrero. And I ain't hesitating enough to call you the hell out if you ain't doing right. No, it ain't doing right for them kids or the community. And JP doing the same thing but worse, because the same damn politicians keeping the money and trying to do other things and whatever. It's not right. I don't care what anybody say. Nord, you're mostly an African-American run organization. Get it freaking together, man. Get it together.
Bruh.
Get it together.
I walked in West Wego Gym for the first time in many years, and it's sad that West Wego Playground is closed. West Wego in football was a powerhouse for years.
Absolutely.
For years. And they had banners everywhere in that gym. I walked in that gym, bruh. There is no history anymore. All the banners are gone.
Oh, wow.
I was so upset when I walked in there and saw that. I said, I can't believe this. They closed the park down, and then all the history is gone. Like, come on, man.
I didn't realize West Wego had all that history, not just until Jared told me, but other people. Because we thought West Wego was one of those teams that were kind of an underdog team, but that will get you. Because there wasn't one of those big name them big name parks like Mac Playground, Nicholson, Kings Grant, MLK, what's that one? Kennedy Heights. We thought West Wego, but then when West Wego started coming up, and all of a sudden they had a couple teams that was competitive and they were starting to beat some of those good teams and whatever. It was like, I remember one year when I coached Mac football, and we lost to West Wego. And one thing I can say about that game, I'm like, yeah, we were the better team, but West Wego outplayed us. West Wego wanted it more than we did. So I tell you, it's a messed up situation now, and they're doing that to other playgrounds, all this other crap. Like I said, it's blatant racism, because what happened is most of the people that's running the recreational centers now are black, and these politicians are taking the money out. They don't care.
You heard these kids, and they're going to the streets.
They don't care because
Mm-mm.
they back in the day when it was racist, a little bit of racism, but you see what it was behind the scenes. Not so much up front because they used to be mostly white running those parks. Now mostly black running those parks. Oh, we need
Mm-hmm.
to just make some changes here. We know what you're doing. We know exactly what you're doing, man. I'm not buying none of this. And I hate to say it. All I do, I trust God every day. And that's it. I don't trust none of you politicians. And that's real talk. I don't trust none of y'all. I'll shake your hand and everything else. But I don't trust you. Because too many of y'all don't do your damn jobs. That's just how I feel about it. We're gonna move on. But Nord needs to step up and do a better job. Because I'm sorry. JP is worse than it ever been. But for Nord, it just looks really that bad.
Totally agree, my friend. Totally agree. Now, let's get down and dirty. Let's get into it. Carr versus Westgate. You watched it. You saw AJ Samuel sitting there talking about Westgate's on our side of the bracket. You saw Tory Morgan sit there and say, I'm focused on Westgate. And the playoffs didn't even start yet. I'm focused on Westgate. Some kind of way, they knew about Westgate. They knew about Westgate. I saw Westgate play early in the year also when they played Lake Charles College Prep. And it was a close game. Well, Westgate pulled it out in that rain. So this playoff game, I was very intrigued because I wanted to see if Carr can stop Jordan Doucette. I really wanted to see this, which I thought they would. I get to the stadium, I run into Mike Samuel and Ashanti Samuel. I run into him, and Mike pulled me to the side, and he asked me, say, Jay, you saw these guys play. How you stop them? I say the quarterback run a lot. Keep containment, have you a spy. You do that, you got a great shot of winning. And I just thought Carr could do that. Well, obviously, I was wrong. We saw Carr warm up, and we see Westgate come through their warm-up side, talking to him. Who has ever done that to Carr? I don't know. Like a first. But Carr gets the ball, and they run down the field. AJ with a big run, he pitches to Jawin. He runs. And you heard it from one of their offensive coaches. They'll have a 4-man box or a 5-man box. We used to run the ball all day. And I thought that was something they should have done. Soon as AJ went to pass for the first time, there's somebody in his face off the get-go. And that was something Coach Antoine saw on video. Because he said he knew his guys can match Carr pretty much speed for speed, player for player. And we could blitz AJ Samuel because he saw on film a weakness. AJ Samuel, that game, ran for his life, took a beating, and you see it on this episode. He's hurt the whole game. They got people saying, pick your head up. Tory Morgan, AJ, bring us, man, I love you. He took a beating. Oh, I'm sorry. Why was there never an adjustment made to protect the quarterback? That's the first part I'm talking about. You have no the tight end to put on the line to help block. People saying, oh, man, he runs a no tight end system. Man, bullshit. Bullshit. They blitzing most of the time 5 people. You in your playbook gotta have slant, crossing route, hook patterns, quick routes, so AJ can get the ball out of his hands immediately to these receivers. We didn't see that much. Not much at all. What about screens? They ran one screen to DeAndre Jackson.
And for one, you look at it, why DeAndre Jackson should have been in there in rotation.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this on that one. So apparently, Jawin was the starter, and the backup. I can never remember his name. I want to say Vasquez. Am I right? Vasquez. Okay.
Vasquez.
Okay.
Vasquez
So they're there. They've been there.
Vasquez was hurt. Vasquez was hurt that game. So the only thing they had left was between Newman when he get hurt. Then all of a sudden, you got
Jalen Lucas.
And Jackson was the last on the depth chart. And I'm like, we seen Jackson run early in the season. We seen Jackson run.
You saw that before Jalen Lucas got there, though.
Exactly. Why he not in there? That's the thing. That's another weapon. That's what I'm tripping on. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, maybe they should have put another tight end, but you know how creatures of the habit is. Not trying to make excuses. You know how creatures of habit is. When they go with what they went with all season, it's hard to try to put a hard adjustment.
Well, that's
late in the game. But that's what coaches should do.
That's horrible coaching.
But that's what coaches should do. I'm just letting you know that.
I understand what you're saying. No, I understand what you're saying.
See,
but
coaches
I've always said, to me, when Bryce is coaching, he has this mentality of we big bad car, we gonna just do what we do. Nothing y'all can do to stop it. And guess what? Had bit him in his ass against Karen Crow and Westgate.
I think, to be honest, you come from that game now and going into this season just passed. You know what I'm saying? And I give some credit to Bryce going into this season. They made a lot of adjustments. I think he did learn, and you've seen a couple of those games this year. They put extra protection for AJ this year.
When? Trips on one side, one wide receiver, one running back. Where the extra protection at?
No, but I'm saying sometimes we did see a tight end. We did see an extra blocker in there a couple times.
Okay, why we didn't see it against Westgate? If he's run these plays, why would he see it against Westgate?
Listen, that's true. That's true. I'm not saying you're wrong.
No. I know you're not saying. I'm just making a statement.
Right.
I'm not coming at you. I'm making a statement. They like you said, you saw it. They did it. So it's in the playbook. Why not use it against Westgate to help him out? That's all I'm saying.
In that season, yeah, they should have adjusted, and I agree with you. I'm saying they're creatures of habit. They should have just adjusted. Sometimes it's a hard adjustment. Like this season, I ain't gonna lie, I did see some extra blockers. We didn't see that last year. We seen at least a back go out and go ahead and get to the side of the tackle, or somebody goes on the other side. We did see a little bit more extra blocking than last year, Mr. Shanka. I'm just saying. I've seen a couple games with that. We might not seen it the whole season, but it seemed like the time Bryce kind of learned from it. But you wish he would have did that against Westgate. I agree with you. I agree with you big time. Because to me, he shouldn't he took a beating. Took a lot of beatings. And what's worse is
even your boss said it. AJ has been harassed all night.
Right. He's been harassed all night. And the biggest thing was, you look at it, is this. It's worse when you're getting hurt, when you don't have the protection. But then on top of that, you hardly got any bullets. And that's not good when you got hardly any bullets. One of those, a couple times, they did try to double on Aaron Anderson. That touchdown, 2 people was on Aaron. And I'm gonna say this
and let you come back. And then I'll let you come back, and we're gonna let George speak.
Yeah. We gotta let the man speak.
Yeah. Right. Let me say this.
Go ahead.
Let me say this, because you always say they doubled him. Me and George said that never happened probably about 80% of the time. Because I'm gonna say this. Westgate ran 2 plays on defense. Either man-to-man blitz or just a cover 2 man. And that was a cover 2 man Aaron scored on.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, George.
Let's get your points out.
Hold on, George. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
All right, George.
Yeah, we're here.
All right, go ahead, man.
All right. Now, where do we start? Where do I start? This banter back and forth has been very lively in reference to this game. Now, you weren't coming at him, and you shouldn't. But I said this last night, and you slipped in the Karen Crow reference. And I know VK and I had a vicious debate a couple of years ago, and Mike Coppage was on my side. Me and Mike were like, dude, you're on the wrong horse here. When Karen Crow eviscerated Carr, we told him, said, dude, this is the death knell for ednakarr. They have no shot. And I'd seen Karen Crow play. Remember, I lived in Senla
Hmm.
when that game happened. I was like, dog, I love you, but it ain't happening. And the car's going home with the head tucked between the tail. And they went home with an ass whooping of epic proportions. Jericho beat the brakes off them people. And regardless of this early momentum or
Hey,
whatever,
let's be
they
real.
just
Hey,
power slammed Carr.
let's be real. They power
Oh no,
slammed
I am
them.
real. Jericho
No, they
eviscerated them.
power slammed them in the second half. Stop
How
it.
about the second
It was
quarter, my
a
brother?
top. It was a. Let me tell you something. All second half, second quarter, that's when Karen Crow came alive. I'll give them credit for
Exactly.
that. But second half, they dominated. Don't say it
Of
was a
course they
whole
did.
behind whipping. In the first
It
quarter,
was.
listen to me.
What
No,
was the
no, no,
final
no, no. Hold
score?
on, hold on. It don't matter about the final. It's about how the game was
Oh
played.
shit.
It's about the game was played.
What?
How the game was played. You got to go with the
Oh
whole
my
game.
god.
I watched the whole game. The one thing I was
Okay.
right on. The one thing I was right on. And give me credit. Carr's defense went off on that damn Karen Crow offense early. They wasn't hardly running that ball until they made them adjustments. And that's credit to Karen Crow. Karen Crow made
But
them
they play
adjustments on time.
48 minutes, not 12.
I listen to me. Listen what I just said.
I'm listening.
I said Karen Crow made some good adjustments in the second quarter. For Carr, now they were starting to get worn down. And then on top of that, here's the thing I said about Karen Crow. I said Karen
Mm-hmm.
Crow has got to pass the ball. They got to do risky stuff because we seen a Karen Crow team like this before. And if they don't pass it, guess what? They're not gonna win because if you one dimensional and they shut you down, what you gonna do? When they get
Ashanti, you took the words out of my mouth.
when
Exactly.
yeah,
She,
see,
she's dead on.
Ashanti is understanding what I'm talking about. The thing is, when they did that trick play, the trick play little pass, but then on top of that, when they did that play action, going to the tight end and all that, I said, this is gonna get Karen Crow to win. They're taking risk, and you got to do that against a Carr defense. Carr is not going to let you get things easy. But when you do the risk taking stuff, you make plays. That's going to open up everything else.
Can
It
I?
opened up the
Let
running today.
me say one thing. I'll let you go. You saying taking risks. I am not disagreeing with you, but I would say more to where they ran the ball so well in the second half than play action, and you're falling for the run, and then there's that tight end receiver over the top.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. Because I said it myself. If Karen Crow's, they're going to have to take risk, make some plays, and they do that, I'm up for the run. And I was right about that. Because I seen this Karen, I seen it's a different Karen Crow team. But like I said, we seen Karen Crow, me and George seen it against West Monroe. And I still say to this day, the luckiest West Monroe championship ever. If Karen Crow would have had some way, somehow, a passing game, they win state. They win state. West Monroe
And
had
didn't they lose that game? Did it?
five
They
turnovers.
lost. Karen Crow
No
lost that
way,
game, George.
Yeah,
no
they
way
did.
in
But
the
then they lose
world
by
West
like
Monroe should
6
have
or
won.
something close.
It was still close.
It was
It was.
Yeah, it
close.
was still a close game.
But Karen Crow should have won it. We seen
Mm-hmm.
it, George. If they had a passing game, they win.
No.
Because that West Monroe defense was not that good,
Nope.
especially that secondary. And the
Nope.
thing was, we could not, the quarterback couldn't throw it that much. And the way the play calling was, it was horrible. Trust me. The
I
Karen
think
Crow
they
defense
Go ahead,
was
overthought.
George.
MVP.
I think they. You're talking about that, and I don't want to stay on that, but I think they overthought that situation, Karen Crow. But sending it back to the car game, where this game was won, Jared, in the trenches.
Yes.
Carr to a man outweighed Carr by 50 pounds. To a man. How does Carr penetrate that line? Karen Crow was big, but they had speed. Them dudes
Yes,
got
they
out.
had the speed to match
Yeah,
up
they
on
did.
both sides of the
Exactly.
ball. They
They
did.
did. They did.
Exactly.
They did.
You know, and the documentary, I mean, obviously, is more singularly focused on Westgate. It's a
Oh
simple
no,
thing of what I.
they showed this game in
They showed
episode
it.
2.
Oh, they did show the Karen Crow game too.
Actually,
Okay,
episode
It
one and
started,
two.
so
yeah, 1 and 2.
One
You're
and
all
right.
right.
two.
I just remember before the year started, I was in a Senlaw discussion with a couple of sports guys from Senlaw, and we were like, which team do we look are we looking for? And it was myself. It was Let's Talk Sports was the name of the show, and Mike Hoppich was one of the panelists. Um, we both said Karen Crow. This team's going to be really good, and the advertisements were not false. This was fact.
They were
Look,
good.
ednakarr is what they are, but Karen Crow punished them with the trenches. That's what I mean when I said they punished him. They leaned on him, and look what happens in high school. How many times have the three of us, seen it? We saw it last year, this past season with Union Parish and Manning.
Yeah.
Union Parish was big, but they couldn't move it. They couldn't move a lick.
Mm-mm.
And except for Trey Holly,
Mm-hmm.
who was the except for the play that he broke one touchdown. What did they do? Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. Not a doggone thing. Many were smaller, but they were faster. Sometimes when you're big and fast, it's tough to be big. But if they're big and fast equally, you in for a 48-minute nightmare.
All right.
Very much
Let,
agree, man.
let's
And
get back to Karen,
yeah,
not Karen Crow, the Westgate
the
card game.
Westgate game. But but George, like I said, you know what I'm saying. Karen Crow better team that night. Let's get back to the Westgate game. You know what I'm saying?
It was. It was. I mean, think about it. You got a quarterback. You're telling the quarterback to just keep throwing deep because you got your receivers throwing deep, and you're off the field in 3 plays, and your defense right back on the field against that type of offense. It's gonna weigh you down.
Mm-hmm.
Adjustments. All right, but back to Westgate and Carr. I want to get to when Carr turned it over on downs, a 0-0, and Westgate scored.
Mm-hmm.
They showed the reactions of the crowd, and they are just in utter disbelief because I don't think when we had Coach Antoine on the show, I sat here and said I never saw a team in years take the fight to Carr like y'all did. Y'all went straight to Carr and kept punching him in the mouth, punching him in the mouth. That crowd, I think, saw the same thing because they have a camera on Aaron Anderson's mom and she's like, "What the F?" And the crowd just like silent. Yeah, Mike Samuel, he's sitting there like they were in shock. They were in a position that they were never in, ever. And that was early in the first quarter. Carr didn't score a point at all in the first quarter. When does that ever happen? That home crowd was in shock. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. That this team from New Iberia, these country boys, that came here, and so far, they are wiping their feet on us. VK, you was calling the game. That first quarter 10-0, and halftime was 10-6. What were y'all thinking and talking about at halftime or during the break? Because you got to carry your appearance, and your face is like, yo, what's going on?
My thing, I was thinking at halftime, I was a little stunned, but in the back of my head, I wasn't surprised. The reason why I wasn't surprised, this Westgate team has been in this position before. I even said it on the broadcast.
That's right.
They've been in this precipice. They've been in this position. And now this is the third time. Could this be the charm for them? And the way it started, I said, this might be Westgate night that they're going to exercise their demons. This might be their night. But I had a feeling the call was going to come back, but they need to adjust, and they need to adjust quickly because of the fact that Westgate is bringing the lumber. They don't come out. I just knew they wasn't going to lay down. But for them to have the start they did, I was like, this is a different type of team. They want this. They want this really, really bad. And the wake-up call for them was Westgate losing to St. Aug in homecoming.
Yeah.
And that was their wake-up call.
Yeah.
And they started rolling after that. especially when you see what they did against St. Thomas More. I was like, Westgate's real, man. So that's what we thought at half. And then the second half made it interesting in itself, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of credit to Ryan Antoine. I mean, he had them cats ready to go. It kind of, and another thing, especially with Doucette, how he played. There was another thing I thought about. And I had to ask him this question after the state championship because of the fact I wanted to make sure. I said, "Are you related to Early Doucette?"
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Yes." I said, "I remember your cousin. That same field when O'Perry Walker played St. Martinville and he was the quarterback. O'Perry Walker wound up winning. They had to have it was tight early, but O'Perry Walker had a big second half to put it away. But Early Doucette showed out. Showed out. So his cousin, all these years later, almost 25 years later, comes into fruition to the same stadium his cousin lost in to come in for redemption for a community out there in New Iberia. It's amazing stuff to see. And it's like, bruh, it's in the blood. It's in the blood.
George, I'm sure you've seen the highlights on YouTube or you saw the game when it
Mm-hmm.
played. That first quarter and first half, Carr scoreless in the first quarter and only a touchdown in the second quarter, and they're losing 10-6. What thoughts did you have in your mind? Because you know Carr was on his revenge tour, and the way it was looking like this revenge tour might be ending early.
Exactly. It's going to end short of the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Well, the Caesar Superdome. Um, with that said, my thoughts when Westgate was taking it to Carr, I listened to the game, and Westgate. What you said a few minutes ago about what the players were saying in advance of the playoffs. That's what I'm thinking now. Not knowing that, watching the game at that moment, not knowing that those players had targeted Westgate and saying, "Man, we better be ready for these dudes," and to come out and play and lay that egg. What does that tell you? That's the first thing I'm thinking. But in the moment when they're down 10-0, like you said, I don't know. I can't even think of a team that has put the goose egg on Carr in the first quarter. I've never seen. I don't know if I've ever seen that because they're so proficient. But Westgate did two things that night. They showed no fear and they announced themselves and said, you know what? Y'all gonna have to outplay us, and I don't think y'all can. I think Ryan Antoine challenged Carr's manhood and said, y'all not good enough to beat us. That's what Westgate did in that first half, and it carried over because Ednakarr started saying, uh-oh, what are we doing? How do we the how to fix it? That's the one issue I have with Bryson. I said this last night. He's not a good in-game adjuster. Now he wins a
Right.
lot of games because of his superior talents,
Talent,
but
yes.
but against comparable teams that have X amount of talent, he's not that dude that's going to make in-game adjustments to win. Find me a game where he's played teams similar to him, where he wins more than he loses. And Westgate was just the latest example last year. And then Westgate proved. I remember some of the the scuttlebutt after they beat Carr. Oh, it's a fluke. Warren Easton's gonna blow the doors off of him in the dome. That Easton speed's gonna run slap over him. Man, we were in the
Easton was
Superdome
more
that night.
prepared than Carr was. I'll tell you that much. I give both that
Exactly.
credit.
They their defense was impeccable that night. Now Westgate broke a play or two in that game, and the telling point was obviously the last possession for Easton. Where Jerry Phillips, you got to show some metal and say, "Young man, the kicker, dude, can you kick this field goal? It's not long enough. It's not long. Go get it." But I don't even know if he even went to his kicker because me and VK were on the Easton
He went for it
sideline.
on fourth down.
Yeah, and the
And
play
look,
they
he
and
had
the
Coach Antoine, and Coach Antoine said he knew the play.
well, of
And
course,
and he didn't look, and he didn't. I don't. And I looked on the sideline, and I didn't see Coach Jerry talk to the
me
kicker.
neither, because we were standing
So
together.
and I'm thinking like, at
What
least
the heck
see
is
what
going
he's
on
doing.
here?
If he can't do it, okay, run the play. I respect that. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And looking at that, I was one of the people that said I was like, yeah, man, I think Easton got. I was a lot of people told me that. I was like, hey, bro, don't underestimate the Westgate team. I said that after that game. I said there's not too many teams. You have to think about this. It's been 10 years since Carr has lost in Berman. It's been 10 years. That's a long time. A team like that, I'm telling you, certain teams that end streaks, they get hot. They get hot. They're gonna bring their best. They're gonna bring their lumber. I remember what 2010, I believe, Leonard Fournette's freshman year. They ended Washita's 15-year playoff home winning streak.
Yep.
So streaks are meant to be broken, and
That's
the
right.
team who breaks it, I'm like this. Don't underestimate them, because they're gonna come in there and they're gonna bring the lumber. And I just knew when Westgate got it done, I'm like, Easton better not. They better not take this team lightly. Not at all. And I think Coach Jerry knew himself that they were coming.
Yeah.
Well, to finish off
Go ahead,
on this,
sir.
to finish off on this thing, a quick story. Me, Vashawn, and Eric Brown and Emmanuel Peppers were on the sideline for the last part of that game. And I turned to the three of them. I said, "Boys, what are y'all doing?" Before that after the third down, I knew exactly. I see that comment, DJ. Yeah, exactly. But I think you're echoing a lot of people's sentiments. But I remember turning to VK and my brother and Eric. I said, "Guys, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing on fourth down?" And to a man, we were like, "Man, he better go talk to his kicker and say, bro, go get it." Go get it. I said it to them. I initiated it. I said, y'all, if I'm Phillips, how do you not go for the field goal? You're down one. Go get it. You're down 1 point. You got a 20-yard field goal to win the state championship. And the fourth down play that concocted, it was broken before they even snapped the ball. The formation was set up. There was too much uncertainty. Look, I saw it and I was like, man, they're doomed. It was like, what the heck are they calling? I don't know who the OC is at Warren Easton. But that man, I'm not
And
saying fire, but I'm not
and here's the thing
for him.
about that. Here's the thing about that. And probably the play call was
Terrible.
I'm not gonna say terrible because
Oh
of
my
one
God.
reason only.
Okay,
Here's the
tell me.
reason. Here's the reason. Let's be real. Look at the whole play. Let's look at the whole play. The quarterback lost his footing. If he don't lose his footing, he's got a wide open outside.
I don't think so.
He's got a
I don't think so.
Jared, you think somebody from Westgate would have called him?
Dude,
I know they've been flying.
He had his fast players on the field. He had Danny Lewis out there also, the best player on the field. No,
on the outside.
no.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think? Okay.
And they knew the
that
play.
play was shot before he even ran.
Yeah, they knew the play.
Exactly, they read it.
Okay.
Remember, Coach Antoine said they knew the play that they were running.
He did lose his DJ.
Hey, he lost his footing. Yes, he did.
He lost his footing. We on the sideline watching it. He lost right there nearby the goal line. He lost his footing. He ain't just lay down. He lost his footing.
Like I just said, DJ 1-3. Ethan didn't even know 6 was at defensive end. Danny Lewis. I just said Lewis was on the field.
That's Danny Lewis. Yeah.
I just said.
That is true. That is true, DJ. That is true. So, I'm thinking maybe he could get there, but you might be right. But it was just a fact, Yeah, man, it's just crazy, It was. I think to me, and we all agree about this. I think Coach Jerry should have just went to the kicker and asked him, and just be straight up with you. Can you make the kick? And he would have said no. Let's go with a play. Let's try to win this game. Let's try with the best play we can.
Most definitely. And like I said, I am still in shock. And the fans were too when Carr was down. Now, y'all can answer this question for me. I'm gonna make my statement first. And y'all can rebuttal it if y'all want to. So we know about Vasquez, Jarwin Newman, and even DeAndre Jackson. Okay, that was your first 3 running backs. In comes Jalen Lucas, 3-star, from Terrebonne whose school was damaged from Hurricane Ida. He transfers to Carr. And Bryce Brown got a pretty good running back out of Jalen Lucas. But at the same time, Bryce Brown is like, yo, I got my guys that's been here already. And he does give Jalen Lucas some snaps. He's not the starter, but he gives him some snaps, some playing time. And I understand that whole situation. Got my guys have been playing, they know the system. He's coming in. He's a good running back, highly recruited. Okay, I'll get him in. But here's the issue I have. Yes, Jalen Lucas got ejected for throwing a punch, and you look at it on the episode. Was it a punch? Was he trying to push an arm away? It's hard to tell. But he got ejected. But Jalen Lucas had 4 rushes for over 100 yards. And I think we all could say that he was the best running back on the team. Here's my question. You go up against a 4-man front and a 5-man front, and you can run the ball pretty well. At this time of need, the semifinals, why isn't your best player on the field? No disrespect to John Newman, and he got hurt that game. Vasquez was hurt. But if I see I'm getting production from one running back, shouldn't he be getting the ball a little bit more? Just my opinion. What do you think, VK?
It's a good, legitimate question. It's a really good question. Should he got more than anything else? We understand, like, Jarwin has been a really good back all year long. You know what I'm saying? So he has the right to get that ball first, but I think it should have been a rotation with both him and Lucas just to mix it up and everything else. So, you can't always go with the one guy. We knew Carr was starting to get limited on weapons, but you got to spread it out a little bit with what you have. And I think that's what they should have did. We know the episode didn't show anything, but I'm in the stands and I seen it. And Lucas did throw a punch. I seen that fist came up.
Okay.
And sometimes you got to be careful where your hands is, because if you come with a closed fist, the official's going to think you're throwing a punch.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a fact when the official seen it, you're about to get kicked out. So, I felt bad for him because it was intense out there because of the fact Westgate was bringing it to him. And sometimes it got a little dirty. But for that, you got to watch where you are. So he did throw the punch. So, yeah, man. Yeah, I was on that. Oh, and I want to ask you, and I'm going to answer that question you had. The last time Easton beat Carr was Tony Hall's last year as the head coach when they went the first time Easton went to the Dome. Against Neville. I called that game on Crest City Sports at the time when they beat him at Pan Am. And I believe the quarterback for Carr was Alden Clark was hurt. They had the backup playing. So Easton, it was close earlier, but Easton just turned it up in the second half and got it done. Deshaun Caper Smith was the quarterback. So that was in the last time he caught.
George, what are your thoughts about what I said about the running back situation? Should Jalen Lucas have gotten more touches, even though he got ejected?
Well, sure. That changed the course of the football game that night when Jalen got thrown out. Now, it's a subjective call, it's a judgmental call, but as VK astutely points out, when you raise a fist, a referee is going to interpret it as an act of aggression, and he's going to act on said act of aggression. Do your job. That's what the referees do. Now, what Jalen Lucas did prior to the ejection, what did he have? 100 yards on 4 carries?
Over 100 on 4 carries, yes.
Over 100. Big play machine early. Why in the world am I not feeding that dude the rock? 4 carries, that's like giving a fat man a little bitty piece of steak. Come on now. That's pure silliness. You got a dude that's averaging 25 plus yards a carry, correct?
Yep.
I think we're pretty astute in math. And 25 yards is 25 yards. And especially in high school, that is just, I mean, it is what it is. But you got to give that man the rock and let him tote it. Now, was he built like a back, like a 20 to 25 carry back?
No.
No. I mean, he was a scat back.
Mm-hmm.
I guess about this, I think that would be the most accurate way to portray it is that he's a scat back. I mean, he had great turn up speed. He could get to the outside, hit that hole, and Halley's Common couldn't catch him. He's got good getaway speed. Now, I'm not going to use the Gus Johnson call they said about Chris Johnson from East Carolina, but Jalen was a big play machine. But, he cost his team when he put that fist up. Can't do that. Referees, especially subjective, objective, I say objective or whatnot, but I've seen officials do some blatantly stupid
We
things
all
in the high
have.
school level. I mean, dude, I could tell you a quick story of an experience. I was sitting on the sideline, and VK, I think you were in the press box that night. West Chef Era District Championship, uh, and that was the game. It was a back and forth football game. All right, Mike Strom and I are on the sideline, and Eric's driving for the win. They need a field goal. So they're driving for the W. They get across midfield, run a beautiful sweep, and and from where we were standing, and Mike Strom was like, man, that dude's got the first down. They went for on fourth, and it looked like he cleared the first down by at least 3/4 of a yard. Well, the referee horribly spots the ball, and Eric proceeds to explode because the ball goes to West Jeff. They win. And and prior to that, I'm like, I just said offhand to Mike, I said, wow, that's a horrible spot. The referee, the side judge, I'm sorry, not the head official, turns around, and I won't repeat exactly what he said because we're a family show. He turned around and told me, do your blanking job. I was like, well, you need to do yours because you just cost these kids a title.
Mm-hmm.
You just cost these kids a title. How you gonna live with that? And then he told me to go blank myself. I said, oh, wow, you're a whole LHSAA official and you sitting there acting like a little kid. Like, dude, are you serious? I mean, what kind of foolishness is that? I mean, ignorance, excuse me. That's the stronger word I want to use. I mean, but I've seen it in smaller towns. I lived in a small town. These little country referees, man, I tell you, if y'all think they cheat here, try coming where I used to live and living there for 12 years and watching football games in Central Louisiana. Tell me they don't cheat. They do it way worse. And they don't even, there's no
No
shame about
shame.
it.
No nothing.
They just, they just let you know, say, man, y'all ain't winning. You know, they tried to cheat when McMahon and the Boyles played in a playoff game years ago. McMahon came to a Boyles with Joshua Rounds. You remember him? Tulane running back. He was a Tulane commit. Good run, good back. The Boyles went 9-1 that year. So I'm interviewing McMahon's coach, Kevin Anderson, and prior to my broadcast because I was the voice of the Vols team, and there was some calls early in that game that they called some BS holding calls against McMahon. I was like, man, y'all know they can't stop him. Are y'all kidding? I mean, they were breaking runs off like nothing, and these referees were like holding. I'm like, where? What the heck are y'all looking at? It's just saying. We're talking about officials and what they got to do, and accountability is a big thing.
Kevin
And that's something you have to look at.
Kevin Roussel was the coach at the time. Kevin Roussel.
Oh, Russo, that's right.
Yeah, Kevin Roussel.
Anderson was their OC.
And DJ, it was 2014, the year when Easton went to the Dome. Final score was 40-14 Easton. Skylar Perry was the quarterback. Alden Clark was hurt. I was there. I called the game. Trust me. I'm saying that because I was there for both that game itself, and I was there for the Eastern Championship. So the championship game, though, they lost to Neville the first time. So not trying to go against your DJ 1-3. Yes, I have the article. I have the article, DJ. I have the article. I have the link. I can send that to you now if I need to. I have that link. Go back to, if I was you, Google Warren Easton versus Carr 2014. Go back to that one. It actually let me make a correction. I'm sorry, 2015. 2015. Let me make the correction on it. November 2nd, 2015. 2015 was the last time they beat
All right, let's get back to our game that we're talking about: Westgate versus ednakarr. Now, I'm going to say this right quick. I'm going to say this: when you're playing against a mobile quarterback, you have to keep containment of the quarterback. You got to keep him inside the pocket, and sometimes you have to have a spy. Carr didn't do any of that. They didn't keep him inside the pocket because Jordan Doucette was able to run freely all night. And the crazy thing is, the best player, Danny Lewis, barely got a pass. Now in the Superdome against Easton, Danny Lewis went off. But against Carr, he really was not effective. Jordan Doucette ran left and right. And I just don't understand, with the talent you have and the car, how are you not able to get your players just to keep containment, to keep them in a pocket from running? I just don't get that with the talent they got. I was just, I don't know, stunned, because it happened over and over and over. And I mean, man, like, you just got to keep containment. You're not trying to really go in there and try to sack the quarterback. You're trying to keep containment. And then as you get closer and closer, then you get them. Dude, like, come on. Football 101. George.
Miss Peppers?
I mean, you're talking about keeping containment and having spies. That's the easy way to play when you have a mobile and speedy quarterback. Again, we didn't see it that night. We didn't see it,
Hold on.
and you know,
Let me pause
this.
you. Let me pause you right quick. Like I gotta answer this question because DJ 13. This is where I will strongly disagree with you, saying AJ was struggling. AJ ran for his life. That was another
He had no
no
protection.
protection at all.
And
They blitzed him all night, and he had to run for his life.
and
And
I
they didn't
got
make no adjustments to where let's make slants, let's do crossing routes, let's do hooks. None of that.
I ain't
If
gonna
you
lie.
watch this episode, you're gonna see how hurt AJ was from the beating he took. And Ken Trahan says it on the episode. AJ has been harassed all night.
They
So
harassed
no.
him the whole game, DJ. And another thing, I'm gonna say this: once you see what happened afterwards, I knew AJ Samuel was good, but AJ Samuel became a man that night. He became a man that night because after what he overcame and still made them plays, get that 2-point conversion and throw the touchdown to cut the lead. That's being a man stuff right there, bro. That's straight up, man. Because I'm telling you, not too many players will do that. There's very few times we have seen that when people are hurt and they get through the pain and they got to try to do something one more time to carry the team. And I ain't gonna lie, AJ was beat up. AJ was beat up, and right, and you're right about that. The adjustments, that's the biggest thing.
Right.
That's the big point we're saying.
It's what we said.
It's just the adjustments. You know what
They
I'm saying?
never had to make adjustments because they blow everybody out. But now in a tough game, you gotta be ready to do this. I'm sorry.
You gotta live by and die by your team. You gotta somehow carry it. It was tough for AJ. Mentally, it was really tough because no protection, and then my weapons are getting hurt. Who I can throw it to and somebody's covered. Who I can go to. There's nothing. Like I always say sometimes, bullets in the chamber. If the bullets are running out, what you gonna do? I done seen that in a basketball semifinal when a team had to play zone and wait because out of the top 6 players, 4 of them are fired out. You got your top 2 left. Bullets are running out of the chamber. That means you're in trouble. So you just got to find, you gotta put the head out of your butt and try to do something to get a win.
Let's get George back in so he can finish his statement. Go ahead, George.
Go ahead, George.
I mean, you guys are just basically echoing points here. What are we saying though? When we talk about how that game was approached, I think the approach won the game for Westgate that night. Their approach to it is like, you know what? Yes, we're on the road. It's the us against everybody mentality, and that's in any level of sport. Okay, but Ryan Antoine had those boys on lockstep that night. Them dudes, and Danny Lewis didn't have the game he had against Easton that he had against Carr. He ripped it against Easton,
Yes.
but against Carr, Carr was able to subdue him
Yes.
for most of that game. And it's amazing to how they lost that game. And VK, you, Kenny, and Willie were doing the game, and y'all were exceptional on the call that night. Y'all were exceptional that night. But for me, you had Cars fans like WTF, and it's like, what other reaction was there? I think Ednakarr thought of a presumption. Oh, it's Westgate. That's a long road. What is the presumptions we hear? It's a long road trip. It's in New Orleans. They ain't beating us in the 504. No shot,
Big bad car.
right? It's a big bad car. Well, big bad car got a humble pie lesson that night. They got a lesson in humility. I'll just look. Oh, there you go. And there's DJ with another statement. I mean, that's an obvious statement though that he's just making right there in the comments. I mean, and then you talk about the way Jared emphasized you blitz all night. I was thinking, remember the Titans in that game where the referees were trying to cheat,
Mm-hmm.
and Will Patton goes plumb off and just tells his defense that very statement: "You blitz all night." The way he said it made me think of that movie.
And there, there are always certain moments where sometimes your home field mean a lot, but sometimes it might not. It could be that one bad night. It could be that one bad night, and then all of a sudden it comes down. We almost seen it this season with Scotlandville against Carr in the second round.
Yes.
We almost seen it again. Scotlandville came to play that night. So I'm telling you, you got to come ready to play. We understand AJ was hurt a bit, but they had to put him in because Scotlandville and Satavian T-Set was on his game that night. Was on his game. The thing is, I'm telling you, you could be the best team out there, but sometimes you could have that one bad night. That one bad night. Like we seen, like a great example, we seen Carver against Madison Prep and how that turned out. Madison Prep played well all year and shot the ball well, except for the last two games and the wrong time for that to do that. Shaw didn't take advantage. Shaw had chances.
Should have lost a shot.
Yes, he should have lost the Shaw. Yes.
Shaw had chances, but they didn't take advantage of it.
Shaw
And Madison Prep held on. But Carver, they did the total opposite.
Yes.
Took advantage and got it done.
I think the cameraman could have shot better than Shaw did that day, but he couldn't shoot it. He couldn't shoot a video.
Oh man, so bad.
I mean, it was horrible. But no, I bring that up. But you mentioned Carver Medicine Prep. But what about the daily double that Westgate? We have not mentioned this at all. To go back to back Westgate in 2 weeks come to New Orleans, beat Ednakarr at their place, then come to the Superdome, first time there. Eyes, lights, Easton, their cars equal. People, Warren Easton's team was very nice that year. That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
Now I stopped because I found the question. We'll get to that. May 18th, 2023, DJ. Stay tuned.
We got some spring games happening next week. DJ.
Yeah.
DJ, if you got a list of spring games, send it to me in my inbox on Facebook. If you got a list of spring games. I got a couple. You might have some more.
Actually, it'll be not next. If there's some starting next week, but I know the week after it will be.
Yeah, the week after is when they really start flooding.
Yeah.
It's the spring games.
I know there's two of them that I'm gonna definitely try to beat. At least one of them. The second one, I don't know about that one.
Look, I got two that's happening next week on Wednesday, May 10th. Carver versus Higgins at Pan American. But Friday, May 12th, Scotlandville comes to comes to Berman to play Landry.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Now, the week after that, May 17th, Carr at Destrehan. May 18th, Easton at Hornville. May 19th, John Ehret at Shaw.
Oh, it's the 19th. I thought it was the 18th. Okay.
19th, yes.
Okay, I stand corrected. But Eastern Hornville sounds interesting.
You said
It's the
you
annual.
said the 19th.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Send it to me, DJ. Send me your list, DJ. Send it to me.
Oh
Okay,
Yeah, send
good.
me what you
Send
got.
it because we want to
We want
know.
to know. Yes.
man,
Yeah, I mean, inquiring minds, yes, sir.
I
I
would
know.
love.
But
I know.
I would love.
Chalmette plays
Car
North
Destrehan
Shore
is,
on the 18th also.
and you mentioned Car goes to Destrehan. Yeah, am I
Car
right?
goes to Destrehan.
See, and these are spring games, and what are you really going to learn? You're not going to really get measurables or anything like that in a
35 to
game like that.
Terrebonne, May 16th. Okay.
Yeah, May 30. Yeah, Mac 35. Maybe an improved outfit this year. McDonough 35. The
I
Run
think so.
Eagles.
From last year,
Maybe,
yeah.
maybe right because they were very, very, very young.
Mm-hmm.
Terrebonne. I mean, it's one of the bottom feeders in the Bayou. They're not good. They have been a little lean the last couple of years. So yeah, 35's got a chance to make a statement down there
Here's the
in
thing
that
about
game
35. 35 lost a lot of experience last year. You have to think they lost their
going
quarterback.
into last
They
year.
last season they lost their
Right.
going into this year. They lost their quarterback. They lost a couple offensive linemen and everything. They still have some experience, but they losing a good bit of people. So now they're gonna have to rebuild from there. I think the second stringer that was out there last season, he's gonna be in there, gonna be trying to start this year. But I ain't gonna lie, had a lot of vets last year, and DJ just pointed out. Like I said,
22 seniors. Wow.
the last year it was the fact that the
Quarterback
year
comes back.
yeah the year before then that was the young team that they had no seniors. This year was the year they had a good bit of seniors. So I think this is Frank Daggs' year that they're gonna have to rebuild up again. And Terrebonne is going to be interesting. They're trying to get it get together. Shout out to head coach Tyler Lewis. He is trying to change the culture over there. And we're going to have him on the Hash It Out show soon as well. He used to be an assistant coach at St. James High School.
Right.
This is going into year number 2 for Lewis. They had a tough year, but they was competitive in a lot of games. So, Coach Lewis trying to get a turnaround over. And then that's also his alma mater. So we'll see what happens. Should be interesting out there with Terrebonne and 35. St. Aug will be battling Madison Prep. That should be an interesting matchup in itself.
Yeah.
That's a big test. We
Big
know
time.
how good Madison Prep is, but that's a
Yes.
big test for Nick Foster and St. Aug.
All right, guys. Let's get back to the topic right quick before we end this. I just want to say Carr got to the Dome or the championship game 11 times out of 12 years. They did not go in 2021 and 2022. 3 years, Carr without a championship. This senior class has not won a championship at all. How important do you think it is for this senior class to at least try to win this championship this season? How important is it? I'll let you go first, VK. Because
Well,
we are in a territory that we don't know about with Carr. Because we got so accustomed of seeing Carr in the championship every year, perennial powerhouse.
it's starting to become what it was when Don Watney left and Jabbar Jalil took over. He did a good job winning, continuing to win, but at one time it was hard for them to crack the code to get to the Dome. Then all of a sudden they finally get to the Dome. The thing was they couldn't win it. They come close, they couldn't win it. Till Speedy Noel comes in. They get there, they come up short, they learn from that, and then the next season they was hungry enough and they finally got it done. They figured out Neville, and they got it done. They won that state title. Then it took them a minute to get there. This is territory that they have been before. They have not been in this kind of ineptness since the first state championship from Don Watney. We have not seen that. For Carr to just get there, to get to the Dome. Winning it is important. It's very important for Carr. But them getting back to the Dome would be huge for that senior class. and then after that, they got to go finish the job. I think it'll be big for that senior class just to get back to the dome, and then not just that, to have Coach Bryce Brown's legacy continue to go up, because can't say it's a down in his career. He's then took them deep playoff runs, and what he's done is ridiculous, unbelievably ridiculous with this program. But like I said, it's important for them to get to the dome, and that's the thing. They know how to win. They know how to win. But the thing is, they gotta crack the code. Now it's back to where it was back then. Now you gotta crack the code to get to the dome. It's a little more tougher now with this new classification. The Catholic League is gonna be a tad bit tougher this year, because you have to think, Brother Martin got people coming back. Judge got people coming back. Curtis got people coming back. St. All got people coming back. They are going to have to handle business, and they're going to have to strap them chin straps. And guess what? The adjustments and stuff in the past you couldn't make, you got to do it this year. I love Coach Bryce Brown. I love Norman Rand. I love that staff. I say that with full respect, because how much they have treated me and respected me over the years. I want these guys to handle business and do well in the academy, but they're going to have to turn it up coaching wise and adjustment wise if they're going to do a back-to-back academy championship and make it deep in the playoffs. They're going to have to do it, and it's the good thing is they are in a tough league, and knowing Carr, they're not going to run behind nobody. They're going to play the tough schedule, and that's going to prepare them for postseason. And hopefully the lessons they take from there, they're going to move forward this year.
George Peppers.
Is AJ a senior this year, right?
AJ has graduated.
AJ is graduated.
Oh, he's graduated. I'm sorry. So ednakarr is going to turn things up.
Early in Minnesota.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let me throw a caveat out here, because ednakarr, before they went to Division One, was in Class 4A, correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
And 5A. Now, I'm going to say this, and maybe I'll be as blunt and as open and as honest as I can be. I don't think ednakarr is getting to the Caesar Superdome this year. And here's why. Division One, VK just pointed out the Catholic League itself. Now, yeah, Carr always schedules tough, but the Catholic League is going to be brutal. And that's the main reason why Carr doesn't get back. Teams out of Lafayette, that are going to be strong. There's teams in New Orleans that are going to be good. I'm not sure ednakarr's got the temerity or the talent pool that they think they have to get to the Superdome this year. I think it's so much that they may lose the Catholic League. It's a very, very bold statement, and it's May, and things can change between now and August, when we get ready to rock and roll, because we'll have more of an identity and an idea of what teams have going in. And, injuries, you have to account for that too. So, I mean, we're going to see, but I'm not sure ednakarr is that team that people think they're going to be, and we're going to make presumptions of getting to the Superdome. I'm not sure they are.
I'll say this. The receiving core they had last year was a beast. They're just losing Aaron Anderson at receiver. The rest come back. To me, on offense, the key question is quarterback. Who is your quarterback? Can he get the ball to these receivers? We'll find out a little bit at the spring game and Destrehan, and then we'll know for sure this season. Defensively, you lose a standout corner. You lose Jonathan Backs. Got a couple plugs to fill in. But Bryce always gets talent to go play at Carr. I'm not going to rule Carr out yet, but it's not going to be. Last year, we a lot of us said they in for a rude awakening. They ran through the Catholic League. They ran through it. And then they stumbled in the quarterfinals of the playoffs of Catholic. So we will see what happens, but I got a question for y'all, and I just want a yes or no. Is this the year? And VK, just a yes or no, okay? Is this the year?
Whatever, player. Go ahead.
Is this the year Warren Easton beats Carr? VK.
That's a tough one.
Tough.
It's a tough question. They're gonna hate me for this.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Ooh, he says yes.
Yes.
George Peppers.
Yes.
Huh. Wow. Okay. Well, you sure can ask him pointed questions. Um, if I'm saying Carr ain't winning state titles, I gotta think somebody's gonna knock him off. So my simple answer is, in the words of the cheerleading of Daniel Bryan when he was in WWE, yes, yes, yes. They're going to beat ednakarr. They're gonna get the proverbial elephant off their back, and they're gonna do some big things. Warren Easton.
This could be finally the time.
The year. Jerry
Because
Phillips.
you have to think 2015 was the last time they beat him, and that was under Tony Hall. And that took over 10 years for Easton to finally beat Carr. So this has been a long time coming. And don't be surprised, you know what I'm saying? It'll be payback, but it's gonna be close as I don't know what, because Carr is gonna definitely bring the lumber, especially going to that game. And I hope that game is it. Now Easton's gonna be the home team this year. And I'm hoping this game is like a tag on.
Tag only.
Because that game was amazing a couple of years ago. At the fact it was almost close to 20,000 folks. That just was a proud moment in my media and communication career as a sports broadcaster, as a sports media member. To see two predominantly African American schools packed Tad outside of a Holy Cross Jesuit game, not giving a shot at none of them schools. They're great traditions in itself, but for them to go outside of the tradition, hey, that's big. That says a lot. So I hope it goes back to Tad again, but I wouldn't be surprised the game will be going down to the wire this time. But this time I think Easton will get it done in a very close game.
All right. One more question before we go. We talked about our good friend Ryan Antoine. He beat Carr, beat Easton, won that state championship. The following year has to play in Division One when his school is a 4A school, and gets to the semifinals and loses to Destrehan 21-6. Brings back a whole bunch of players. How much credit should Ryan Antoine be getting for the job he has done? To me, he's done a phenomenal job with getting this Westgate program to the level they are at now, getting these kids able to play, getting this fan base behind him, and they travel well. We seen it at Carr, we saw it at Destrehan. Ryan Antoine has done a great job, and I commend him for everything that he has done for that Westgate football program, and he has made them and turned them into a powerhouse. So Ryan Antoine definitely, man, has done a great job. VK.
He's the mayor of Westgate, New Iberia for a reason. He's that guy. You know what I'm saying? He's bought that community a state championship and made them competitive as they are. And to be honest, they could be the favorites to win not the non-select Division One this year. Do not be surprised. It'll be a Westgate Destrehan rematch, but this time in the dome.
George Peppers.
I mean, look, Westgate's going to be what they are. Ryan Antoine, I echo everything you say because that dude has shown you on numerous occasions he's a hell of a head coach. Is he a lifer at Westgate? We don't know. I mean, maybe he goes for bigger and better. I mean, some coaches actually did that this offseason to go for the bigger and better. If he wants to stay at Westgate, he can get free food for the rest of his life there.
That's his home.
I'm pretty sure.
That's his alma mater.
Huh? Exactly.
That's his home. His alma mater.
Exactly. You know, and home's where you hang your hat, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's what they usually tell you. But Westgate's team promises to be very nice this year. Favorites to win against Dusty?
He's bringing
I
back.
don't know, man.
He's bringing back a lot. They were young last year.
Hey,
He is.
George. They're bringing back 19
Oh, I know.
starters.
Mhm.
and took Destrehan to the limit last year. They're bringing
Well, I
them
mean,
back.
21.
That's a lot.
I mean, the scoreboard says otherwise, but you
Well,
got to watch
the thing,
the
No,
actual play.
the
no,
thing
we
is,
watched the game. We was
George, the
there.
thing is this. Let me say this: in that game against Destrehan, the offense did struggle. Defense didn't play bad. What turned that game around was that pick six Destrehan got.
Mm-hmm.
That turned it around, and then the 21 points came late, like towards the end of the game. It was going to the fourth quarter. It was 14-6. They still in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the scoreboard does say otherwise, like you said. But yes,
Mm-hmm.
it was a close game. It
It
was
was.
And they were in it in the fourth quarter at Destrehan, which is not easy to win.
correct.
That is a very difficult place to win. I've been down there numerous times, and that is a vicious home field.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, let's not lie. Uh, I mean, Destrehan's going to have their own competition in their district. I mean, I don't want to bring up Harville. East St. John may bounce
He's
back. Brandon Brown. I
yeah
think.
Yes.
I think they were victim of expectations. People may forget about them. That could be a team that sneaks up. East St. John actually almost beat
in the
Destrehan last year,
playoffs.
if I'm not mistaken.
Playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah, almost beat them in the playoffs. They got waxed in the regular season,
Yes.
but they damn near beat them in the playoffs. So that could be an interesting outfit. Look, it's May and we're already nibbling on prep football. Man, we got no life. I lie when I say that. I mean, because we're knee deep in baseball season now.
Actually,
The
actually,
and
actually, we're in the last couple of weeks of the prep sports season because this
Mm-hmm.
weekend is
mhm,
the LHSA track championships. Next week will be the LHSA baseball championships, which I will be in Lake Charles.
hold
I
on.
mean, it's
Yep.
Sulphur, Lake Charles, Sulphur, Louisiana. So I will be there all next week actually because they actually asked me to do games Saturday as well. So I'm gonna be
Good.
calling some state championship games.
Good.
So, but like I said, last 2 weeks of the whole prep sports year, and then we go into the off season. And it'll be almost time for the kids to get out of school. And actually kids about to graduate after the baseball championships. The first
Hmm.
high school graduations, especially the private schools, are gonna go
Yep.
down. So it's gonna go from there. Kids are gonna be out for the summer, and then spring games after the week after this baseball championships. Then we're in the off season. We're in the off
I
season
think the
running.
one. mm, I think the one question that Jared you did not ask tonight,
Okay.
and I can't believe you didn't ask. I just cannot believe it. This man had a cameo appearance on Algiers America. The one question you should have asked VK Jones, and I'm going to ask it on both of our behalves.
Okay.
How much are you charge? How much are you charging for autographs, dog, and photo ops?
Well, I'm on Cameo right
I
now.
mean,
I'm on Cameo right now. If you want the
don't matter.
Cameo
We see your
for
mug.
ten
We see
dollars,
you, Trahan, and we see you, Coach Brooks, and Ken Trahan on there. So I may ask Kenny Saturday because I'm gonna announce that I am on the Three Tailgaters Saturday
Okay.
in advance of the Kentucky Derby. So I will be previewing the Derby, and I sent a text message to Jordy Holtberg, waiting on an answer for that. I may be on tomorrow. He is out of Baton Rouge, and he does a sports talk show every week. Um, he had me on last year in advance of the Kentucky Oaks and Derby, so I may be the publicity's there. So, and horse racing is my sport this weekend. It's my sport every weekend, but um, and yeah, VK, to let you in on a little secret, Jared, this is what VK says. You need to put some money in my pocket. I need some coin. I need some coin, and I get it. It's a public service, so the heat. In the words of the great song by Glenn Fry, the heat is on. Or I'll go for even better classic, Queen, Under Pressure, David Bowie and Freddie Mercury. So yeah, I'm facing all that this weekend. But you know what? I'm gonna come out of it smelling like a rose because I'm gonna win.
Here you go,
And
buddy.
yeah, I'm
go
making that.
ahead.
I got this. But and if I put VK Bunny in, I mean that Hooters bill was a son of a gun last Thursday, so I got to be able to win some money this week. So
Yes,
Absolutely,
indeed.
absolutely. And
D
I'm just talking.
D.
And just a quick
Go
update:
ahead.
the Lakers and the Warriors have just tipped. a little bit ago. Golden State made a late change. I'm looking for the late change in the lineup. Last I saw, the Lakers were actually ahead early, 17-15, and LeBron's already got 8 points, and they're just getting started.
You are behind because Golden State is winning 45 to
Well,
42.
no, that's a few minutes ago.
You did say that. Yeah. Golden State's up
Yeah.
45, 42, 48, 42 now. 3-pointer by Clay.
Well, their boys have to get off, and AD, they're going to have to find a way to neutralize AD. We'll see. But look at that statement by DJ. Good to talk football again. He's right.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, it's a beautiful thing, but oh, by the way, and I hate to say it, oh, by the way, the Breakers are 3-0, beat the defending champions last week.
Oh,
They look to go to 4-0 against the Generals this week.
okay.
Start paying
Gotta watch
attention.
it.
Start paying. Yep. Start paying attention.
All right.
Forget that XFL nonsense. It's the USFL.
I watched the XFL. I ain't gonna lie. But
Yeah, I hear you.
And I got to give a special shout out to your cousin, AJ Samuel, but not just that, the family, the mother, Mrs. Shanti, his dad, all the people from the Salmon family. Shout out to them. Also, a shout out to my cousin. She was in the parent. She has a son that plays for Carr. Dr. Mia Harris. She's one of the teen doctors. She was on there a couple episodes. So Vernell Jones, the second, Beanie, if you my cousin Beanie, if you see me, shout out to you, shout out to your wife. We see a big time on there. Dr. Mia Harris, who got her own office out of New Orleans East. I see you, cousin. We making it through. That's what we're talking about there, you know. But
do your thing.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
But catch the Region 23 tournament starting tomorrow, 12 noon, tsbnsports.com. Go on the website or get the app. You can watch it on your Roku, your Amazon, your Fire Stick, all that stuff. It starts tomorrow, 12 noon, BRCC Nunez, then BRCC Delgado, and then Delgado Nunez to close the day. So
is that a subscription site, BK, or no?
I think it's not a subscription site. So just go in there and check it out. You know what I'm saying? It starts 12 noon tomorrow. So check it out.
You got that.
And I'll be in Sulphur next week for the baseball championships on NFHS. So be on the lookout.
Y'all better good cameraman for the baseball championships because your basketball guy was horrible.
They got rid of him.
Ooh, they got rid of him.
Oh, they fired him?
They got rid of him.
Yeah, they got rid of him.
Oh, bless him. Well, I mean, I hate to see a man lose his job, but hey, man,
I'm like this. One side, I sometimes do feel sorry, don't see. Another side is this. If you can't do the job, you got to go. You got to go. Sorry, that's just what it is. That's what life is. If you can't do it, we got to get somebody else in there. Dude, it's just plain and simple, you know.
Dude, I'm texting VK while he's calling the game. I'm like, man, y'all cameraman is not following the game.
Oh my!
You use some language and.
I probably you could you saw it in the group text. Yeah.
Yes, I did.
I was hot.
I know. I don't blame you.
I pay a subscription, man, for NFHS.
And it's 75. What is it? $75?
Oh no! It's like
$10 a month.
$10 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, but $10. I ain't paying $10 to watch a cameraman film and just sit still and maybe go do. I mean, if he went to sleep or something. I don't know what that dude was doing. It's like, young.
Yes, indeed.
Bro, what kind of BS you doing?
$11.99 a month. Yeah. Yeah.
So man, just forget the penny. Oh no, it was
but look, we thank y'all for tuning in. We will try to have a show sometime next week. We don't have VK. It'll be me and George Peppers.
Most like, well, you might not have me because I ain't.
You're being sulfur.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
One of the games I'm working is like noon. I'm working 3 a day, so I'm working from noon game, a 3 o'clock, and a 6.
6 o'clock.
You're right. I might not catch you, or I might have to catch you after when I'm done with the game. I guess.
Definitely. No problem. It's all good. We thank everybody for tuning in today. We thank y'all. We'll try to be back next week. And for my good friend VK Jones, my other good friend George Peppers, I'm JB, your sports guy. We thank y'all for tuning in.
Catch Algiers America, y'all.
Yes, thank you.
Catch
How did that
Algiers
slip my
America,
mind?
y'all.
Watch
Please do.
Algiers America episode 5 next week.
And coming soon, and we're gonna try, and we're gonna all talk about this. But coming soon, we're gonna try and have Bryce Brown on the show. But then on top of that, I want to have, and we would love to have her on the show. She is unbelievable, Ashante Wyatt. We have to have her on the show. She's amazing, and I'm talking about an activist and educator in New Orleans. And the biggest question I don't understand: why this woman is not working in any education office in New Orleans. That's what I want to know, because she knows what she's talking about. She's a person that has a PhD and came from the Fisher Project. This woman knows what she's talking about, and we love to have her on the show to talk about her contribution to Algiers America, because she is on almost every episode. She's on
She's on every episode.
She's on every episode.
Yeah.
Anything goes down in the city and whatever, who's the firecracker? That's her. So we will have her on the show soon.
All right, y'all. Catch y'all later. Take care.
Jesus.
And always remember, look him in the goddamn eye.
Subscribe.
Ryan
Like,
Antoine.
share, tag. Vashawn Jones, JB Sports Guy YouTube, Vashawn Jones, Jared JB Board on Facebook. See y'all people next week.